Welcome back to Fortune Cookies. So this is part two. You guys are getting two videos from me today, bright and early in the morning. So I did part one. It was Megan in 100 years from now. This is the catalyst or the genesis for this was Megan saying that she would advise someone playing her in 100 years. Told him to call her. So I don't know if she's immortal or what. But so we did a reading on Megan, how she's going to be remembered in 100 years from now. And now we're going to do Harry. We're going to see how the world is going to look at him. So before we get started, thanks so much for being here. If you're new, thank you for watching my video. Please consider sharing and subscribing. If you're a repeat offender, thank you so much for being here again. I love every one of you. There's so much thoughtful commentary, and you guys are just really great on my lives. And I really enjoy doing this. This is like my favorite part of the day. I have a regular day job, and I look forward to this every single day. So I really, really appreciate all of you, and I just love doing this. So thank you so much. If you want your own private reading with me, there's a link in the description down below. My lights are still doing weird stuff. You can book your own private reading with me. I also do live readings on Wednesday nights, 7 o'clock New York time. So it's been kind of a fan favorite. Everybody likes going there. You can get your own private reading with a donation. You can request celebrity readings. It's kind of like you kind of drive the night. So it's pretty fun. So let's get into, oh, poor Harry. Poor Harry. So let's see what the general memory of him is going to be, how people are going to remember him in 100 years. Remember, this is in 100 years. So a lot of time will be passed. Opinions of people have changed over 100 years. Sometimes we find out things. Sometimes we find out good things. Sometimes we find out bad things. But historical figures, Nicholas II, I know I talked about him briefly, the last Tsar of Russia. He was seen as very weak and ineffectual around the revolution. But as history has continued, there's more information about what a tremendous family man he was. And he was actually a pretty good person. He wasn't a great czar, but he was a pretty good person. He kind of meant well. Given the circumstances, I think he did the best that he could. And he did marry for love. So that is a big thing. But politically, his wife was not seen as an ideal candidate by a lot of people. So, but that's a whole other reading. I actually did a reading on them. I think it was last Valentine's Day. I did a whole series on great romances. So you can go check that out. It's in my history. But so let's see how Harry is going to be remembered in general. How are people going to remember him in general? I just moved my selenite over, left it in a weird spot. Oh, goodness. Oh, this is not good. So he's going to be seen as someone who is perpetually in recovery. This is somebody who just was damaged. And the damage is almost, and I'm getting this intuitively, in his own mind. The damage is despite the, oh, I totally hit my microphone. Despite Megan saying in the Variety interview that he's such an optimist. He's so positive. He's really not. He sees everything as half empty. He sees it as half full. When he's manic, he is manic. When he has a face like thunder, he's just really dissatisfied with everything. I hate to characterize him as like a female or as a male Karen, but he's kind of like a male Karen, just not really satisfied with anything that comes his way, no matter how grand it is. He was a prince of the realm. He was living on the palace grounds, and he was still perpetually very, very jealous of his brother, and the position and the accident of birth. So, he's just never really been satisfied. I think, and I digress from the 100-year reading, but I think this move to California, he really in earnest thought that he was going to become a big man in his own right. So it's kind of sad that he didn't. So, but I just don't think that he has very many talents in that arena. I know that and I've read this intuitively. There was some discussion of him like possibly going into acting, but he really can't act. He just can't do it. He's not an actor. And he's not dashingly handsome. There are some of the royal blood that are dashingly handsome. There's one in the European royal family. I can't remember what his name was, but he is actually a model, and he's actually pretty beautiful. He's got these cheekbones. I'm a cheekbone kind of gal, like I'm like constantly trying to make my cheekbones better. It's why I wear highlighter. You can see highlighter. So this rest and recovery, it just never really happens. The only relief he will get is when he has passed over to the next lifetime. The best we can hope for is that he will be protected by the royal family, brought back into the fold, brought back into the family, and protected. But the unfortunate thing is that he will see this as restricting him, and he'll see it as, well, I wasn't able to continue. If I had just it's like that whole socialism thing. Socialism works. We just didn't socialism enough. We just didn't go far enough. We just didn't make it. You gotta go through the birthing pains and then get to the other side of it, and then it'll work. Then it'll work. You have to go just a little bit further. It's almost like he's going to have some resentment about that. Under the surface, I think history will be kinder to him than the present day is. I think we're going to see him as a very damaged person in 100 years, someone who just kind of couldn't get out of his own mindset and couldn't get out of his own way and couldn't understand the benefits and the great things that he had, and the accident of his own birth, and what a lucky fortuitous position that was, because he really, not much was expected of him. He could just kind of tra-la-la and do whatever he wanted. He could do vanity projects. He could have some fun. He would never, the concern that he has now, that, I'm sorry, this lighting is so annoying. The concern that he has now, or allegedly had, about becoming a non-issue, a non-entity as Prince George grew up and turned 18. I just don't think that that's an issue. I think this really was a driving factor of having more money than the royal family themselves. I think that was really it. He wanted to live the kingly life, and the only way to do that was to go to America and go to Hollywood and make the money there. So I do think that history is going to be a bit kinder to his poor view of his abilities and what he could do as a the expat of the royal family. I can't even think of another term for it. He wasn't exiled, but he was kind of like an expat. So my questions here: will he go down as a damaged prince, as a damaged modern day prince who purposely tried to disrupt the royal family. In 100 years, we got two jump outs, but I'm not going to take them. I looked at them, but I'm not going to take them. It was the sloppy shuffle. So will he go down as a damaged prince who tried to disrupt the monarchy? Will he go down as that? Okay. Yeah, history is going to see him as someone not stable, someone who dreamt beyond their abilities, someone who had there's a lot of emotional stuff here. Okay, so they're going to see him as someone who really had expectations of themselves beyond their capabilities. We just saw the same thing with Meghan. Decidedly, history will say, he just wasn't capable. He was not a team player. He wanted to be a chief instead of an Indian. I know that that's probably an analogy that we're not supposed to make anymore. But the severance here, he did try to divide the royal family. And I think what we see here with the lovers, I think we're going to find out that he did try to create some dissent within the royal family, within the cousins, specifically one of the York girls. I think he almost tried to garner support from one of them to move forward on his own and have his own mirrored court, like, I'm going to be the court of public opinion and you guys can be the official royal family. But he's going to be seen as very unrealistic, emotional, unstable, and using that emotional instability to create a lot of problems. I think that's really what history is going to see him as, and as someone who cut and ran instead of trying to find a place within his natural environment. Let's just call it a natural environment, because if you're born in a castle and you're born with all this privilege, you really should probably stay there, because the modern day middle class life is not really fun, especially in America and with this crazy economy. I know we're having a worldwide recession, but it's just not. If you come from a life of privilege, living as a normal person is not fun. I'm just telling you. So they're just going to see him as a dreamer and somebody who really tried to succeed beyond their capability, beyond their position. So that's unfortunate. So what can he do? Hang on. Hang on. How will history view the marriage between the two of them? How will history view the marriage between the two of them? Oh, it's a bit much, isn't it? Oh, that was at the top, not at the bottom. Oh, my goodness. Okay. So we have The marriage is going to be too much work, not enough production. So marriage is a lot of work, a lot of emotions, a lot of drama. Yeah, I know the wands are not emotions; they're spirit and fire. It's like too much work. You know, everybody has to put some work into their marriage periodically, but it shouldn't be this showcase of events and um, going to things and ribbon cuttings. It shouldn't be that. And unfortunately, this marriage is turned into that. It's turned into a series of events. Um, Still curious. I don't know if they're going to go to the coronation. I'm sure they're going to. Like intellectually, I know they need to be there. I don't know psychically if they're going to be there. So we'll have to take a look at that. Another reading too. So marriage is too much work. Produced very, very little. The foundations that they created were foundations of strife and conflict, fiery conflict, being difficult, creating issues for everyone around them, not working well together, disrupting the legacy and the good feelings of the past. So this is our 6 of Cups in reverse, which is looking back on things very, very, very negatively, disrupting that family legacy, the good vibes. When I teach tarot, and I say this all the time in my readings, this card is the 6 of Cups is, great summer day. You're there with your cousins. You guys are in bathing suits. You're sticky from eating ice pops, hot dogs on the grill, burgers on the grill. Parents are drinking beers. Yeah, I know it sounds like so like working class. But it's a bright sunny day. You're all got like a little bit of sunburn here, but you're tan. You just got out of the pool. So, above ground pool. This really is like this perfect, great summer day. And when we turn that upside down, this is everything was terrible. Everything was horrible. It doesn't matter how many tricycles I had, and it doesn't matter how many times, Darren Grady made me cottage pie. I think that's his name, Darren Grady. I think he was the royal chef. I follow him on YouTube too. I absolutely adore him. So it doesn't matter how great things were. The lens that we're looking back is everything sucked. Everything was terrible. It's going to be like just everything that we did. Like the wedding was awful. We were forced to do so many things. We were made to do so many things for protocol, and it just was awful. And the reality is, everyone's going to know that this is BS. Like they kind of made more of what they were about than necessary. They should have had this wonderful wedding. They should have tra-la-la. They should have done some cool stuff, built a nice house. I mean, they took Frogmore, but they should have, just done their own thing. I know Frogmore was a disappointment because it was, staff quarters, and it was renovated to accommodate them. But it was renovated according to what they wanted. So, again, how hard could it have been to have been a prince of the realm? How hard? He will be seen as the weaker of the two in the marriage. And I think we're seeing that now. I think all this PR that we're seeing with the Variety interview and fashion shoot and everything, he's nowhere to be found. She's right up front. We saw some little thing with him. It's like a blink and you miss it kind of thing. But the marriage, I don't think, we have our high priestess here. The marriage is not going to be seen as something that was done with honesty. I think this is going to be seen as something that was done as a contrived kind of event. So that's unfortunate. It's almost like a sham marriage. Sorry. So I know we're looking at the general view. Let's go a little bit more private. How will the royal family remember this particular royal family member in 100 years? So in 100 years, how old is, that was Sloppy Shuffle? Sloppy Shuffle Tarot. In 100 years, George is what, 10? 10? I think it's 10. So George's children, let's just say George has children when he is 35. So 35 years down the road. So George's heirs, if the royal family is still a thing, George's children will be in their, I don't know, 70s. So how will they see their great uncle, Harry? How will the heirs see? Heirs to the throne in 100 years, how are they going to view Harry? Oh, a lot of pity. They're going to view him with a lot of pity. He is like almost like a lesson. Oh. Oh dear. Oh dear. Okay. Wow. So the family is going to view him very poorly. We are not going to have this prodigal son that comes back and restores his reputation. And again, when we read tarot, we're reading history, how the energy is right now. What kind of future will pan out from right now? This is pretty heavy right here, though. So he is going to be seen as someone who cut and ran, gave up everything, emptied all of his loyalty. This isn't emptying his pockets, but this is emptying his loyalty, and leaving the family to try and achieve some kind of riches, to be this cultivator of money, bringing it in, living this luxurious life. So the queens are all about cultivation and nurturing and making that money grow. He's going to be seen as someone who's very, very money hungry and left the royal family for money. That's how they're going to see it, which is really, really not a good thing. He's given up all of his dedication to the people of England, and his duty was completely shirked. He is going to be a lesson whenever they get one of those rogue prince or princesses that says, I really want to be a model. He's going to be the example that they trot out, and they go, look at what happened to Harry. This makes me very concerned about what his future is like right now, because if this is the far future, the near future is not looking good for him. This means he is going to be not in a good place. We have tied up all on his own, by his own doing, tied up without any turning back from it. And how this works is we get the devil card as well. So the devil is the heavy energy, linking yourself to riches and these indulgences, not indulgences like from the church, but linking yourself to all of the glitz and the glamour and the succulent fruit of being a fabulous celebrity. He wanted to be a celebrity. He I think wanted to be a celebrity, and then Meghan came in and really exploited that and gave him this taste of, hey, well, let's be celebrities together. which is very, very unfortunate. I think she fed something that was there already, and they're going to underscore the emotional instability that he had and how he was vulnerable to this kind of a path, where all is lost with no return. All is lost, no return. This is all is lost, no return. Can't get out of this thinking pattern. So, but the emotional instability is going to be, I think in years to come, we'll see the royal family being much more tuned into the mental health of its members, not publicly, but privately, just making sure that everyone is on the same page and that all of the goals are aligned and that no one is feeling stressed out or um, neglected or denied. So that is really amazing. So what can Harry do to fix this? It just really seems very, very bleak. Again, I was hoping this was going to be a little bit more positive. What can Harry do to rectify this? Now, we did get in Megan's reading earlier today that she had gone the plaid and that really couldn't correct that. And we have Ace of Wands. Oh, Five of Cups, Chariot. So again, stop trying to make fetch happen. Stop trying to do what you think you should do and go back to your training when you were a kid and understand what you are born to do, which is a little bit different from what you want to do. Some of us want to be firefighters, but we actually are supposed to be surgeons. Some of us want to be fiction writers, and we actually wind up being tarot readers. So stop doing what you think you want to do, what you think is going to get you all of this money and all of this adulation, and go back to what you're supposed to be doing, because you are like a fish swimming upstream. You are just going against the current. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. It's just not happening. You can't make fetch happen. The Chariot, move on. Look back at what you have done. Look back on what you have given up, what you have passed by, what you have left behind. Mourn that. And you have to release this anxiety. You have to go and start speaking your truth. Not necessarily your truth, but in his head, there are things that he wants to say. There are things that he wants to take back. I don't know if he can, but some of this will help. I don't think he'll ever be able to go back to that family. I just don't. I don't think that there's very much that he can do. I think he's already past the point of no return. Like Megan, I think we have gone the plaid. Changing that messaging and actually talking about what means something to him may be helpful. But I don't know. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. So I'm sorry to say that, but so 100 years from now, I think it's very curious what the family is going to think of him. Let's see what the heirs of Prince George are going to think of Meghan. Let's do a little bonus because I didn't do that in her reading. So let's do a little bonus. What are the heirs going to think about Meghan in 100 years? What will they have to say about her? What will their family history be? she too will be a lesson. She too will be a lesson for the things that you say as a royal family member, the things that you say and do, say and do are out there. You know, you have to be very, very careful. Also, this indulgence, you know, having a good time under the surface. It it is more important the messaging that they're going to impart. And again, like this is going to be a lesson that they trot out when someone says, "I want to be a ballerina," or "I want to be something that's not a royal family member." They're going to trot this out and say, "This is what happens when people in the royal family step outside of the role and step outside of what our duty is to the people of the United Kingdom." By accident of birth. Now, her situation, because she is married in, the message is going to be careful. This is very Prince William, Prince Philip, Prince Philip. We step out with actresses and people of this ilk. We don't marry them because this is the message that happens. We have all of this talking and this platform, a magnified, exaggerated platform for this person who really is an actress. There really isn't much substance to her. You know, she wanted to make this the step into a political arena, and she didn't realize that this was a royal arena, which is very different from a political arena. You know, royalty has a different set of rules that they have to go by. The regular people, but they are representative as an ideal family. So you can't be stepping out talking about women's health issues in Ireland, in a Catholic country, if you know what I'm talking about, which she did. Because that becomes disruptive and that becomes problematic for the other people that don't have the same opinion. So she too will be a lesson about you know this I don't want to say freedom of speech, but the free speech that she had. It really was very difficult. And I do think that this is going to reflect badly on anyone who wants to marry an American moving forward, because it's the cultures are very different. Even though we are sister countries, because we did come out of Great Britain and the United Kingdom when the United States was established, we were sister countries, I'm just going to say. And we remain right now at the present moment, you know, very powerful forces in the world political scheme. The cultures are very different, and certainly the royal family is a subculture within the British culture. So this is kind of a lesson, like, you know what, these Americans are just not on the same page as us. It's just a very, very different culture. I mean, even my ex is Scottish, and you know, from Scotland, and you know, culturally we were somewhat different. So even though he was in America, now he's in America longer than he was in the United Kingdom or in Scotland. So you know, the cultures are just very different. So I think that she is going to be a lesson about to marry within your culture, to be very careful about selection of a bride or a groom. So both of these videos went a little bit longer than I had expected, but they were fun. They were a good time. So I am super, super glad that you were all with me. Please give me your thoughts below. Let me know what you think of you know, what I said about Harry and Meghan in the next 100 years, if you agree. As always, thank you so much for watching, and please like, share, and subscribe. If you'd like your own magical reading with me, there's a link in the description down below. So you can go check that out. Have a great day, everybody. I hope you have a terrific weekend.